I am 40 years old, female, and I am the only daughter in a large family. My aunt is my father's only sibling. It wasn't until after my paternal grandparents had died that my aunt revealed to my father that she had gotten pregnant in college at 19 and had given the baby up for adoption. She has been an out lesbian since graduate school, longer than I've been alive. She and her late wife never pursued having children together. Though she told my father, the whole matter was still a secret until my cousin contacted her on his 35th birthday. He is my cousin, period. That said, he has his adoptive parents' name, not my aunt's, and not mine. Through no fault of his own, he never met my grandparents. My cousin and his son, little cousin, visit my aunt 1 to 2 times a year and communicate a bit on social media. My cousin has never once celebrated a holiday with the larger, our last name, family. 1 wedding, 0 funerals. My aunt has spent some holidays with him, but only when she flew to him and stayed with his family as a guest. My aunt told my dad that she wants to leave it all to cousin and little cousin. A will was only made when I pointed out that legally they are not family, and inheritance will not be automatic under the law and could be problematic tax-wise without a will. I do not care about any money, etc. my aunt may have. I care very much about my paternal grandmother's jewelry. Grandmother's will was generic except in the matter of her jewelry. She gave a matching set that were her favorites to me, and she left the rest specifically to my aunt, her only daughter. One piece she expressed a non-legally binding wish to have reset to match my set after my aunt's death, implying it was to pass to me. She didn't leave jewelry to my brothers or my dad or even their daughters-in-law. When the dementia got bad, I started to put all the jewelry that my aunt wasn't keeping with her in the memory care ward, and that was explicitly my grandmother's and not a separate purchase by my aunt, into a safety deposit box in the same town my aunt lives in my name, my aunt's name, and my brother's name. He's the only one who lives in town in case of emergency. Important to note that my nuclear family does all the caretaking of my aunt's estate as well as physical help with personal care, not my cousins. My dad got angry. Everything is to go to cousin. He's her son. It's his inheritance. She was his grandmother. Cousin literally had 2 other women he referred to as grandma and calls my grandmother your grandmom, not my grandmom. Plus, grandmom was sexist as well. To be fair, I would be much more open to sharing if little cousin was a girl, or even a boy who is interested in jewelry, but that isn't the case. So, am I justified in saying that pieces owned by my older 4 mothers and or my grandmother and explicitly passed down to only her women descendants should remain with women, namely me? Or is my great-grandmother and later grandmother's wedding ring solely my aunt's asset, and it should go to who she wishes it to go to, and I'm just a selfish person? Me, a female in her 20s, my boyfriend, a male in his 20s, and his brother B, also a male in his 20s, lived together peacefully for 2 years. A year ago, B's long-distance girlfriend, a female in her 20s, moved in. We were initially friends, but the dynamic quickly changed. When I got a kitten, the girlfriend became paranoid, despite our cats getting along great, and blamed my kitten for every issue, no matter how unreasonable. I was told my 10-week-old cat should be trained not to enter her room after she left the door open and something broke. I spent months over-accommodating her to avoid conflict, constantly walking on eggshells. The core issue was that for 6 months, the girlfriend did virtually no housework, never touching a broom, dishwasher, or common area while staying home. Her boyfriend also became lazier, only doing the bare minimum. Me and my boyfriend were feeling overwhelmed with our work and school schedule, so I called it Calm House Meeting to suggest a chore rotation without naming names. They immediately became defensive and demanded an example of what they needed to clean. When I pointed out their dried barbecue sauce on the counters, they denied it, and the girlfriend accused me of attacking her. The brother reluctantly agreed to help, but essentially stopped speaking to me. The situation peaked when she neglected her cat's litter box, her only chore, for an entire week in our laundry room. When I politely asked her to scoop it daily due to the strong odor, she told me if it bothered me, I should do it, despite me already scooping 2 other boxes daily. I received a barrage of texts where she accused me of bullying her and trying to make her look lazy. She sent an itemized list of grievances, including the time I kindly offered them dinner when they were sick. The passive aggression escalated. She later got blackout drunk from the anxiety I caused her, and her boyfriend blamed me. She then blamed my cat for throw up in her shoe. It was constantly something, either my cat did or some way I slighted her. After another discussion, they agreed to try to get along for the least remainder. We said hello in the morning, acted polite, even cracked a few jokes. I thought things were getting better. B and girlfriend said they had no issue with me and wanted things to be okay. Despite this, they canceled attending boyfriend and B's grandfather's funeral because we were going and they couldn't stand pretending to like me. My boyfriend angrily confronted his brother over this. They then announced we had created an abusive environment, left abruptly in 2 days, flipped us off while departing, and stuck us with the full rent and bills. We have been blocked ever since. Every year, my boyfriend's large family gathers at a cabin for Christmas. Now, the siblings are divided and arguing over who should attend, me and boyfriend or the brother and girlfriend. The stress is threatening to cancel the long-standing family tradition. Some siblings are blaming me for ruining Christmas by starting the conflict. I feel like I started a terrible domino effect. In summary, am I the asshole?
Apologies in advance for the mess that this all is. My wife, a 43-year-old female, and I, a 45-year-old male, have been married for 8 years and have 2 kids, ages 8 and 6. My wife also has a 10-year-old daughter with her ex. My wife and her ex were never married, but her ex also has 2 kids, ages 12 and 13, that my wife was basically a stepmom to. We live in a smallish town with a population of 9 to 10,000, so all the kids go to the same school district and see each other regularly. My wife obviously is still in contact with her ex regarding their daughter, and we routinely get all the kids together, including exes, for birthdays and stuff like that. My wife and I have been wanting to take a family vacation for a couple years now, but have waited until our youngest is a bit older. This would be our first family vacation. We decided to start planning something for spring break 2026, since all the kids have time off from school and our youngest will be 7 by then. We decided to take the kids to Disneyland, the one in California. We booked everything a little over a month ago. Of course, my wife talked with her ex about taking their daughter. So the plan was my wife and I taking our 2 kids and my wife's daughter. Sometime between now and then, ex's kids and my wife's daughter got into an argument while daughter was at ex's house. And my wife's daughter used the, "Yeah, well, I'm going to Disneyland and you're not" line. That opened up a whole can of worms, and now ex's 2 older kids are jealous and making life difficult for daughter every time she spends time at ex's house. My wife and her ex have been talking about this, and somehow they came up with the idea that ex's 2 older kids could come with us on our trip in order to smooth things over. My wife told me about the idea a couple of days ago. Here's her rundown. Ex would pay for all expenses for the older kids, flights, extra hotel room, tickets to the park, spending money, etc. But he wouldn't be coming with. So instead of our first family vacation, we are supposed to bring 2 additional kids that neither of us are biologically related to. I immediately shot that idea down. It's not that I have anything against ex's kids, they're fine. But this idea changes the trip completely, and for me at least, turns it from a family vacation to a borderline nightmare I want nothing to do with. My wife got upset with me because I didn't hear her out. But to me, there's no amount of planning or attention to details that is going to make adding 2 additional kids to this trip worth it. I know my wife is still close to ex's kids. She basically raised them while they were together. Wife and ex haven't told the older kids about the idea yet, but she's still trying to convince me that this is a good idea and everything will work out. I don't want to, but I'm thinking of just canceling the whole thing unless she agrees to keep our original family plan. But I know if I do that, then I will be the bad guy to everyone involved. I, a 23-year-old female, recently decided to distance myself, possibly for good, from two of my closest friends, Allie, a 24-year-old female, and AJ, a 22-year-old male. AJ has been my best friend since we were 3. Allie and I became close at 13. We grew up together, shared milestones, and supported each other through everything. I believe they were two of the most important people in my life. Birthdays have always been incredibly hard for me. I grew up with abusive parents who ruined every celebration. One year, I went through a breakup on my birthday. Last year, my childhood dog died that day. Because of that, birthdays are emotionally overwhelming and remind me of trauma and loss. AJ and Allie know all of this. When I was 21, I moved alone to another country, supported myself through graduate school, and built a life I am proud of. Even so, I still struggle to feel joy on days that are supposed to be happy. Earlier this year, both of them moved to the same country for graduate school, and for the first time in years, I felt like I would finally have my closest friends nearby. My birthday is this month. A few months ago, they both promised to visit and celebrate with me. I told them they did not need to, but they insisted and talked about it for months. They also coaxed me to take paid time off for a day so we get 5 days together. My birthday falls on the Thanksgiving weekend, so I did. Then in October, Allie texted that flights were too expensive, about $150 and not worth it for only 5 days. I told her I understood, even though it hurt. AJ agreed it was disappointing and reassured me he would still come. For context, he lives in the same state as me. Today, AJ told me his cousin invited him to spend fall break with him in another state. He said he might go there instead but would come see me the day after my birthday. I told him not to. It felt like he wanted to ease his guilt, not actually be there for me. I said I did not want a pity visit, but he keeps insisting and is now upset that I keep saying no. Allie also keeps hinting at wanting me to fly down instead because she is lonely, boyfriend flying out of town, so we could still celebrate together. What makes it worse is how much I have done for both of them. When AJ moved here, I took time off work to spend his birthday with him and drove 2 hours to pick him up from the airport. For Allie, I sent her a gift before she moved and made sure she had support. They know how painful birthdays are for me. They promised to come, made me hopeful, then backed out. I understand people have their own lives, but I also know what it feels like to be someone's last option. That is exactly how this feels. It's not just about the birthday. It's about being promised care, letting myself hope, and then being treated like an afterthought. I feel hurt in a way that is hard to describe. So, am I the asshole for refusing any alternate plans and staying upset over this? Hi. I had an issue yesterday with my husband, which I'm conflicted about, regarding whether I was in the wrong. My husband and I have 2 daughters, 6 and 8 years old. My sister-in-law and her family live a couple of blocks away from us. They have 2 boys, both 9 years old. Her husband is in the army, so he's away from home a lot. When he's away, the boys come to our house often. They're great boys, respectful and energetic. When they're here, my husband takes them to the park to play soccer. They always say they have a great time, and my sister-in-law also thanks us for it. When they're not around, my husband takes our daughters to the park too. I often join them too, and they also look forward to it. However, when my husband takes the boys along, even though we encourage our girls to go along, they told me they don't enjoy it. Basically, the boys get super competitive, and it's not fun the way it is when it's just them with my husband. I take the girls along by myself, but apparently it's not as much fun. My husband can also only do some days of the week, and when their father's away, the boys come on those days. Yesterday, I asked my husband to talk to his sister and set some kind of limit to those days, because our daughters like going to the park with him for soccer, and it's not the same with me or when they go with him and the boys. He looked taken aback and said that they're good kids, their dad's away for long stretches, and they seem to have fun here. I said I never said they weren't good kids, just that our daughters felt like they were missing out. He said he'll encourage them more to come with them, and he'll make sure things don't get too competitive. I said we've gone through that before, and it's just not fun for them. He said telling his nephews this would be cruel, and made it sound like I was an awful person for suggesting it. So I wanted to ask, am I the awful person? Since today was a holiday, he was going to let his sister know that he'd be taking the kids to the park earlier today, so the boys should come earlier. I asked my older daughter separately whether she wanted to go. She said no, even though she'd been excited about it in the morning. I told my husband this. While she was cuddling with him, he asked her why she didn't want to come, but she was avoiding giving a reason. Eventually, my husband asked if it was because she didn't like playing soccer anymore. She said no, she did. Then he brought up whether it was because of the cousins, and she shyly admitted that yes, but didn't give the details that she'd given me about the competitive nature and everything. My husband hadn't texted his sister yet, so he told the girls, the boys can't join right now, and if they still wanted to go to the park, we could all go. Both my daughters suddenly really wanted to go and went to get dressed, so we're at the park now and the girls are having fun with him. I think he's going to take the boys later in the evening, I'm not sure. But my daughter telling him seems to have made more of an impact than me saying did.